Welcome to the Speed and Gwinn's Deep Dive podcast. We are so thrilled to have you with us for another journey into a stack of fascinating sources. Today, we're taking a look at a fan-favorite cinematic event that also offered surprising depth and a really bittersweet farewell, Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3.
Yeah, definitely bittersweet. And we've gathered a really rich stack of insights for you today. We're drawing from Forbes for the numbers, Comic Watch for the fan pulse, Metacritic and Roger Ebert for those critical perspectives, and even deep dives into YouTube interviews with James Gunn himself, alongside, well, a ton of Reddit discussions.
Oh yeah, Reddit always has thoughts on these things.
Doesn't it just? So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack not just the film's, impressive commercial performance and its kind of nuanced critical reception, but more importantly, to really dissect the rich thematic tapestry James Gunn wove into what he always called Rocket's story,
Right.
especially around these profound concepts like family, trauma, and that long, winding road to healing.
So, if you've been curious about what truly made this film resonate so strongly with audiences, going beyond just the usual superhero stuff, or maybe how it managed to stand out in a broader superhero landscape that, let's face it, some felt was losing its way a bit,
Definitely a feeling out there.
then you're absolutely in the right place.
Mm.
All right, with that incredible setup, I'm really eager to unpack the layers. Where should we start? Maybe the impact first?
Yeah.
The Guardians grand finale, box office performance and reception.
Yeah, before we dive into Rocket's truly heartbreaking story, I think it's crucial to acknowledge the sheer impact this film had, not just creatively, but financially, too. The box office numbers here tell a really interesting story, don't they? Especially when you think about the wider MCU context at the time.
Oh, absolutely. It landed at a very specific moment for Marvel.
So when Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 first hit theaters, it opened worldwide to nearly $290 million. What's particularly interesting about this initial impact, according to Forbes anyway, is that it came in far ahead of the international expectations.
Right, which was a good sign. Yeah, while still hitting its domestic tracking pretty much in line. This was seen as a really strong and honestly much-needed start for Marvel's 2023 summer season blockbuster lineup.
They definitely needed a win, especially after some, well, less stellar outings.
Exactly, given some of the headwinds Marvel had been facing. Then, by its second weekend, the film was already set to blast past $500 million globally.
Wow, quick climb.
Yeah, and projections, again, from financial analysts, were aiming for maybe $520 million, maybe even more if it kept overperforming overseas.
And did it end up there?
The articles we looked at estimated a final worldwide gross somewhere around $650 to $670 million. Now, that's quite impressive for any film, right?
Right, for sure. Solid numbers.
And apparently it was largely driven by what was widely described as just really strong word of mouth.
The best kind of marketing.
Totally. People weren't just seeing it. They were talking about it, telling their friends, you got to go see this.
Which makes sense given the reaction we'll get into.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, its domestic debut, about $118 million, was actually lower than Vol. 2's $146.5 million back in 2017.
Oh, that is interesting. Any reason why?
The sources don't dig too deep into why, but they emphasize that the international market truly stepped up. It handily beat predictions overseas, which crucially helped balance out that initial performance.
Gotcha. So global appeal saved the day, so to speak.
Pretty much. It ensured it got off to a healthy start globally. Now, in terms of competition, there were other films opening, like Book Club, The Next Chapter, and Rally Road Racers.
Right, probably different audiences, though.
Exactly. They weren't really seen as significant threats, mostly just counter-programming appealing to different demographic, so they weren't really fighting for the same eyeballs.
Makes sense.
The real challenge, everyone anticipated, would come with Fast X landing mid-May.
Ah, the big franchise battle.
Right. And our sources also mentioned, broader external factors analysts were watching, things like new COVID variants popping up, and the ongoing Writers Guild strike.
Yeah, that strike was causing a lot of noise around studios then.
For sure. Generated a lot of negative attention. So, all in all, Disney Marvel genuinely needed Guardians to be a hit. This was their big summer kickoff.
The pressure was on.
Huge pressure, especially after the MCU had been, struggling a bit to put up those same consistent massive box office numbers it earned during the Infinity Saga.
Yeah, that Phase 4, early Phase 5 period felt different, less certain.
Exactly. The sources plainly state Phase 4, and the kickoff of Phase 5 had lagged. And importantly, failed to enjoy the same level of audience or critical enthusiasm.
You felt that online, definitely. A sort of Marvel fatigue, maybe?
Could be. So Volume 3 carried this significant weight of expectation, and you know what? It largely delivered on that front.
Which brings us to the reception side of things, because what's truly fascinating here is that interplay between its solid financial performance and its almost like unparalleled critical and audience reception.
Right. They tell a slightly different story, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe a more profound story about its actual impact. While the box office was robust, the audience love for this film was, well, exceptional. It scored an A Cinema Score grade, and for anyone unfamiliar, that's a poll of actual moviegoers right after they see it.
So really direct measure of satisfaction.
Exactly. Very strong indicator, and it boasted an exceptionally high 96% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
96. Wow.
This placed it as the third highest audience-rated MCU movie ever, right behind Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Shang-Chi, which both hit 98%.
That's rarefied air for the MCU.
It really is. This isn't just a good score, it indicates a profound, almost visceral connection with viewers. Especially significant during that time when, as you said, the MCU was perceived by some as slipping a bit.
You saw that everywhere online.
Oh yeah, many online comments echoed stuff like, this might be the last truly great MCU movie for a while, or this is the best MCU trilogy by far.
High praise indeed.
It really indicated a real yearning for the magic and heart that Volume 3 seemed to deliver in spades. So what kind of emerges from all this box office and reception data is this powerful insight. Guardians 3 wasn't just another successful blockbuster.
Yeah.
It felt like a film that re-engaged and, you could even argue, maybe healed a somewhat fatigued MCU audience.
Healed. That's a strong word.
Well, maybe. Because it offered what many felt was missing, that deep emotional resonance and a really clear, distinct directorial voice.
Ah, the Gunn factor.
Exactly. Now, critics, on the other hand, offered a more generally favorable view, which is good, but, with a bit more nuance.
So not quite the 96% love fest there.
Not quite. It earned an 82% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which is solid, and a Metascore of 64, signifying generally favorable reviews based on, 63 critic reviews.
Still respectable.
Definitely respectable. But some critics noted it felt overstuffed or had too much going on, maybe unruly and excessive.
Okay, I can see that. It did juggle a lot.
It did. The Roger Ebert review, for instance, mentioned it could be clunky and weird sometimes, and there were comments that the pacing felt a bit off, maybe waiting too long for a punchline or another action beat. Yet even with those critiques, many critics also praised its, quote, mischief, humor, and big heart, its soulful style, and its ability to deliver a blaze of glory that somehow balanced the humor and sincerity.
That balance is key for Guardians, isn't it?
Totally. And the Roger Ebert review specifically highlighted James Gunn's unique ability to balance corporate needs with personal blockbuster filmmaking.
That's a tightrope walk.
It really is. It noted that even when the film was at its messiest or felt clunky and weird, it still felt like it had a human touch, often lacking in recent blockbusters. It kind of defied that product over art aesthetic.
I like that.
A human touch. Yeah. So this contrast, right, between critics finding it maybe overstuffed and audiences feeling this profound connection, it leads to this crucial insight. James Gunn's distinct voice, with its blend of raw emotion and, let's be honest, some boundary-pushing elements.
Yeah, it definitely went there sometimes.
It proved that even within a massive franchise, prioritizing a singular, authentic, artistic vision can really cut through maybe more formulaic expectations and generate exceptional audience loyalty.
So the weirdness worked because it was authentic Gunn.
I think so. The fact that he was able to push through his vision and leave such a personal imprint seems to be a key differentiator, and it's something the audience clearly responded to with just overwhelming enthusiasm.
And it's especially poignant, like you said, thinking about him moving over to DC now.
Exactly. Many felt Voluntry's success gives confidence in James Gunn heading over to run DC and his upcoming Superman legacy. It really felt like a mic drop moment for his time at Marvel.
That's a fascinating point about that contrast, the critics versus the audience. It's almost like the film itself is an outsider finding its place, huh?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
And the audience felt that connection even more deeply than some critics did. Which makes me wonder, how does this film achieve such a profound emotional resonance with so many viewers?
Well, that sets us up perfectly.
Right. This is where the deep dive gets really interesting, when we dive into what made it so loved, especially for one particular furry character, too, Rocket's journey, the emotional core of Volume 3.
Yeah, our sources make it abundantly clear, don't they? Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 is fundamentally Rocket Raccoon's story.
Absolutely. It's baked into its DNA from frame one.
From the very first moments, the film just telegraphs this powerful focus. It opens with Rocket walking through nowhere, listening to Radiohead's Creep.
And not just any version.
Right, it's the live version, specifically noted in interviews for just its raw, stripped-down emotion. That needle drop, that perfect song choice, it immediately sets this personal, melancholic tone.
It hits you right away. This isn't going to be just fun space hijinks.
Exactly. It directly parallels Rocket's long-held feeling of being a monstrosity or a weirdo, something he said way back in the first Guardians film. Yeah, that deep-seated self-loathing.
He sees himself as this anomaly, an outsider, even when he's surrounded by his chosen family. It's just a tonal masterstroke right out of the gate. This is going to be a deep dive into character trauma.
And it doesn't waste time getting there.
No kidding. The narrative immediately puts Rocket near death after that brutal attack by Adam Warlock.
Which triggers the flashbacks.
Yeah, these deeply harrowing flashbacks to his creation. He was, as the sources describe him, just an innocent animal, a regular raccoon taken and subjected to these barbaric biological experiments by the high evolutionary.
It's hard to watch. Really visceral stuff.
And what's truly heartbreaking is that Rocket, in his innocence and just desperation for belonging, almost saw the high evolutionary as a father figure.
He just wanted approval, like any kid.
Totally. Genuinely aiming to please him, to fulfill his twisted vision for a perfect civilization. But the high evolutionary was just relentlessly cruel.
Pure gaslighting.
Constant gaslighting, reminding him of his flaws, even critiquing his grammar, if you remember that bit.
Ugh, yeah. So petty and cruel.
And just emphasizing that he was merely an expendable creation. The Reddit discussions really highlight the impact of Rocket's story. People noting his very first word being hurts.
Oh, God, yeah, crushing.
It's just crushing. And those unsettling biological building scenes, particularly that moment when he finally sees the sun and shares it with his friends.
Lila, Teefs, and Floor.
Yeah.
That brief moment of wonder.
Yeah, the contrast between the horrific experiments and the innocent hope and simple desires of his fellow test subjects. Like that heartbreaking phrase, Rocket Teefs, Floor, go now.
So painful.
It was just particularly painful and effective for viewers. Really drove home this senseless brutality of it all.
And speaking of brutality, the high evolutionary himself.
Right. This villain is portrayed as just unrelenting and detestable, truly terrifying audiences in a way few MCU villains really have.
He felt genuinely, personally evil, not just cosmic evil.
Exactly. His core belief, which he states chillingly, there is no God, that's why I stepped up.
That line reveals everything.
Yeah, this vengeful God complex. He lashes out with extreme cruelty when his creations show any imperfection, or in Rocket's case, when his creation proves arguably more intelligent and capable than him.
Right. Rocket solving the problem he couldn't. That drove him mad.
Totally. That intellectual challenge just drives the high evolutionary into this spiral of insecurity and sociopathology. And that specific moment where Rocket, in that burst of desperate defiance...
When he scratches his face.
Yeah, messed up his face so bad early on, it created this lasting, horrifying scar, both literally and figuratively for the villain. Showed that deep personal animosity between them.
It wasn't just business for him after that.
No way. And James Gunn himself revealed in interviews that the whole idea of Rocket as the saddest creature in the world, an innocent animal turned into something he didn't ask to be, feeling utterly alone and without purpose, that was actually the seeds of the entire Guardians franchise from the very beginning.
Wow. So this was always the endgame for Rocket?
Seems like it. This long-planned arc culminates powerfully and emotionally right here in Volume 3. It makes Rocket's story the undeniable backbone of the entire trilogy and its ultimate emotional payoff.
And the film masterfully explores his struggle then to overcome that past trauma and finally embrace who he is.
Right.
We see these crucial moments of truth woven throughout his near-death experience. It's almost like a spiritual journey he goes on while he's unconscious.
Yeah, that whole sequence felt very dreamlike, but purposeful.
Exactly. For instance, when Rocket's in that coma, right on the edge of death, we hear Alice Cooper's "I'm always chasing rainbows."
Another perfect music choice.
Isn't it? It's not just random. Comic Watch specifically highlighted how it symbolically mirrors his lifelong avoidance of his past and his desperate, often unconscious search for purpose and belonging.
Chasing something he can't quite reach.
Exactly. The song is about chasing an end of the story without truly living in the moment. It directly highlights Rocket's journey to find his end of the rainbow. Not in some abstract goal, but right there, in the tangible, messy found family of the Guardians.
Ah, so the Guardians are his rainbow.
That's the realization, yeah. It's a powerful metaphor for how he'd previously found purpose and acceptance in the team, like he mentioned in Endgame. And now he has to reaffirm that purpose and, crucially, his own inherent worth, independent of anyone else's validation.
Especially the high evolutionary's twisted validation.
Precisely. And the emotional climax of his journey, that is just so expertly crafted, pulls at the heartstrings of pretty much everyone, I think.
Oh yeah, the scene with Lila.
Right. While he's near death, his childhood friend Lila, a character viewers had only just met, but you instantly felt this connection to.
Totally. That voice acting was incredible too.
It was. She appears to him and she explicitly tells him, "This was your story all along."
Wow, that line.
Yeah. It provides that critical moment of external validation, but also internal acceptance that allows him to embrace his identity and prompts his powerful return to life.
He chooses to come back.
He chooses life. And that transformation culminates in him finally accepting his true identity, proudly stating, "The name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon."
Chills.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it.
Right. It's not just a name, it's a declaration of self-acceptance. It's profoundly moving for the character and for the audience. It represents his evolution from that self-hating freak who denied his species felt like a mistake
Yeah.
to the confident, self-accepting captain of the Guardians. It's such a powerful conclusion to an arc that truly spanned the entire trilogy.
And the online discussions really picked up on that, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. People noting how Lila's "this was your storyline" hit so hard and how empowering it was to see Rocket finally claim his identity, finally at peace with who he is.
It's a message that resonates, I think, with anyone who's ever felt like an outcast or just different. Wow, that transformation really is the core of the film's power. So what does this all mean for the broader team then? Does Rocket's personal journey directly enable their ability to find closure and embrace their found family? Or is it more like parallel journeys happening?
That's a great question. I think it's both.
Because his story connects so deeply with that central theme of found family and overcoming shared trauma, which truly defines the entire Guardian saga, doesn't it? 3. A deeper dive into themes: familial abuse, found family, and healing.
It really does. And while Rocket's journey is the emotional linchpin, the film's genius, I think, lies in showing how his healing and the High Evolutionary's profound impact on him reflects and amplifies the struggles of the entire team.
Okay, so it resonates outwards.
Exactly. Beyond Rocket, there's this powerful, pervasive theme across all the Guardians films, but it's explicitly highlighted with stark clarity in Volume 3. And that's familial abuse and how friendship, rather than blood ties, can bring profound healing.
It's woven into the very fabric of almost every character we care about, isn't it?
Almost universally, yeah. Our sources emphasize that nearly every single Guardian has been profoundly mistreated, emotionally and physically, by their own family members. It creates this deep, shared trauma that, ironically, kind of binds them together.
It's pretty staggering when you list it out.
It really is. Let's look at some examples. Gamora and Nebula, probably the most obvious cases. Terribly abused by Thanos.
Systematically.
Right, not just kidnapped, systematically tortured, cybernetically modified, brutally forced to compete against each other in his cruel games, all while being raised to please this father who decimated civilizations. Their whole existence was shaped by his cruelty.
Just awful.
Then, of course, Rocket. We just covered his horrific biological experiments, the constant gaslighting by the High Evolutionary, who went so far as to murder his innocent friends right in front of him.
Shattering his world.
Completely. His entire sense of self-worth was stripped away by this creator figure who constantly told him he was nothing more than a failed experiment.
And Mantis, too, right? Her story with Ego.
Yeah. Mantis suffered profoundly at the hands of her father, Ego. Essentially enslaved for most of her life, her empathic abilities exploited to deceive and drain her countless siblings, leading them to their deaths as part of Ego's monstrous plan.
God, I forgot how dark her backstory was.
It's incredibly dark. And Peter Quill himself also deeply wronged by Ego. Responsible for his mother's death, that trauma haunted him for decades, and his abduction from Earth.
So yeah, physical abuse, psychological, emotional, existential scarring. It's all there for every single one of them.
Exactly. And the sources emphasize that this pervasive trauma leads to these deep-seated issues. Chronic mistrust, pervasive self-worth problems, a profound difficulty in expressing personal problems or vulnerabilities.
It shapes how they interact, how they see themselves.
Absolutely. It fundamentally affects their social relationships and self-perception. Nebula, for instance, spent so much of her life constantly seeking her abusive father's approval, defining herself by his expectations and her capacity for violence.
Which fueled her resentment towards Gamora.
Right. And Rocket, as we noted, struggled immensely with feeling like he had no purpose in life, that he was made for nothing, just echoing the high evolutionary's demeaning words. Led to his isolation, his aggressive tendencies.
These aren't just background details, are they? They're central to who these characters are when we first meet them and why they struggled so much to connect initially.
That's a critical observation. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Guardians films use these incredibly dark, traumatic origins to highlight the transformative power of chosen family. That's the message that truly resonates.
The antidote to the trauma.
Precisely. It's validated by countless fan discussions. The movies provide this powerful counter-narrative. Despite their tragic past, despite the deep scars they carry, these characters form a bond bound by friendship, not by blood.
They get each other.
They get each other on a fundamental level because they've all experienced versions of it. This shared understanding lets them create a supportive network, a genuine family where individuals can find acceptance, heal, and ultimately thrive.
It's a message that really connects, especially for people who've felt like outsiders or had tough family stuff.
Absolutely. And we see this healing play out beautifully and distinctively through each character's individual arc in Volume 3. It's not one size fits all.
Okay, let's break those down. Peter Quill, for instance.
Right. Peter Quill, he's still reeling from the original Gamora's death, this grief that had just consumed him since Infinity War.
He was really lost at the start of the film.
Totally lost. And he struggles significantly with the alternate timeline Gamora, who doesn't remember him or their past romance.
Yeah.
It creates this really poignant, painful dynamic.
And the film doesn't just give him the easy out, does it?
No, and that's what's clever. It avoids forcing a romantic reunion, which so many blockbusters might have lazily done. Instead, it allows him to accept this new reality and ultimately return to Earth to reunite with his human grandfather.
Finally facing that part of his past.
Exactly. Facing his original flaws of abandonment, beginning to heal from the grief of his mother's death and leaving his Earth family behind. It's a huge step in his emotional maturity.
And what about the alternate Gamora?
Alternate Gamora also finds her own path. She doesn't rejoin Quill's team or fall back into old patterns. She finds her own chosen family with the Ravagers.
Right, with Stakar Ogord. Stallone.
Yeah, particularly finding a strong, positive father figure in Stakar. This gives her her own sense of belonging and purpose, totally separate from Quill's expectations or the shadow of Thanos. She gets to be her own person.
I like that. Nebula's arc, too, felt really significant.
Nebula's arc culminates beautifully. She becomes the leader, showing profound emotional growth and empathy.
Especially her connection with Rocket.
Yes. Their shared 5 years after Infinity War, just the two of them left, forged this incredibly deep bond. You see it in her raw emotional reaction when Rocket survives.
That felt so real.
It did. We see her shed that rigid, violent persona. She actively sheds the need to define herself by violence or Thanos' approval. She comes to acknowledge the inherent worth of others, and importantly, of herself. She evolves into a truly compassionate leader.
And Drax. His ending surprised me.
Didn't it? Delightfully subverting expectations. Many viewers thought he'd get the heroic sacrifice ending.
Yeah, seems set up for it.
But instead, he embraces this new role as Drax the Dad, finding his purpose and inner peace in caring for those rescued kids from the High Evolutionary.
And Mantis defending him.
Yes. Mantis's powerful defense, saying, he's the only one of you who doesn't hate himself. It just perfectly underscores his simple, direct acceptance of himself and his new, gentle purpose. It's really unique and refreshing for the team.
She really came into her own, too, didn't she?
Mantis totally did. She moves beyond defining herself just by her usefulness to others, that deep trauma from ego. She confidently stands up for herself, for Drax. And some sources even described her as the glue that held the team together, showing incredible empathy, emotional intelligence, while also getting some truly kick-ass moments of physical prowess. She showed her multifaceted strength.
Even Cosmo got a bigger role.
Right. Cosmo the telepathic dog, developed from just a gag character into a full-blown supporting character.
Good.
A very good dog. Her telepathic communication, embodying that spirit of unwavering loyalty and affection, playing a pivotal role in saving the Guardian children. It was great.
And the bad dog jokes with Quill were perfect.
Exactly. That humor coexisting with genuine connection and warmth. It's classic Guardians.
So it seems a lot of viewers were actually happy that no major Guardian died.
Immensely satisfied, yeah.
Yeah.
It bucked that common, often predictable trope for trilogy finales. Instead, each character chose their own destinies.
Finding purpose, not just death.
Exactly. Finding paths of self-acceptance and purpose rather than a tragic, definitive end. It represents a far more hopeful and impactful message, I think.
Yeah.
Overcoming trauma means building a future, choosing life and purpose, not just martyrdom.
That is a truly powerful message, especially for a blockbuster that could have easily gone a different, maybe darker route. It's a reminder that even broken characters can become whole. And that really ties into how Gunn used every single element, including, very obviously, the music, to tell this story so uniquely and get such deep feelings from the audience. 4. The artistry of James Gunn. Music, visuals, and unique style.
Oh, absolutely. You know, what truly sets the Guardians movies apart, and Volume 3 in particular, is James Gunn's incredible talent for integrating music and visuals. It's not just background noise. It enhances the narrative in ways that feel both organic and profound.
The soundtrack is basically another character.
It really is. Famously, it's far more than just random needle drops. It's described in our sources as a constant motif, chosen meticulously to punctuate the themes of the narrative and reinforce whatever is on screen.
Like a hidden language.
Yeah, exactly. Whispering to you what the characters are feeling or what the scene truly means, adding all these layers of emotional depth.
Let's quickly revisit some of those brilliant choices the sources highlighted. We already talked about Radiohead's Creep opening the film.
Yeah, perfectly setting Rocket's struggle, that melancholic tone, grappling with his identity, almost unbearable in its raw honesty, mirroring his internal pain.
Then you have songs like Heart's Crazy on You and Rainbows Since You've Been Gone.
Right, not just cool rock songs. They directly reflect Peter Quill's profound grief and that persistent lack of closure over the original Gamora's absence.
Since You've Been Gone is particularly cutting, isn't it?
It really is, because, as our sources point out, Peter and Gamora never officially broke up. She was just tragically taken from him. The song perfectly mirrors his unresolved emotions, hinting at the depth of his sorrow without needing clunky dialogue. Masterclass in emotional shorthand.
Totally. And Alice Cooper's I'm Always Chasing Rainbows during Rocket's coma.
Speaks directly to his avoidance of his past and that ultimate realization that the Guardians are his end of the rainbow, his true purpose and family. The lyrics just align perfectly with his internal struggle and eventual breakthrough.
And then near the end, Florence plus the machine.
Dog days are over. Playing before the credits. That song just symbolizes finding happiness after a rough time, and it perfectly sums up the entire trilogy. Shows the characters finding closure, progressing in their lives, moving beyond the literal dog days of their trauma.
So uplifting.
It really is an anthem for their new beginnings. And finally, Bruce Springsteen's Badlands, the very last song before the final end credit scene.
Pulling it back a bit.
Yeah, pulling back to the Guardians' roots, emphasizing that overarching theme of redemption, that desire to turn their lives around even if they haven't entirely arrived yet, reminds you of their criminal origins, their rebellious spirit, their ongoing journey towards being something better, a fitting, slightly raw end.
Wow. Gunn himself said picking the music for Volume 3 was tough, right?
Yeah. He did. He noted in YouTube interviews it was the hardest thing about making the movie. Because unlike the previous films, which were mostly 70s pop hits.
Right. Awesome mix, Vol 1 and 2.
Exactly. Volume 3 pulled from the 70s, 80s, 90s, even the 2000s. That much broader selection made the process daunting, way more complex to ensure it all fit together thematically.
More variables.
Way more. He said he worked really, really hard and switched out songs constantly to make sure it was as iconic and meaningful as the previous two. Just shows his dedication to that specific, crucial element of his storytelling. Meticulous attention to detail.
And that intentionality extends beyond the music too, doesn't it? To the whole visual style.
Absolutely. This intentional use of music extends to a broader artistic vision that consistently prioritizes the story above everything else, regardless of the tools. James Gunn has a very clear philosophy on visual effects versus practical.
He's not just obsessed with practical for its own sake.
No, he stated explicitly in interviews he doesn't have an obsession with doing things practically. Instead, his guiding question is always, what is the best way to tell the story?
Pragmatic.
Very pragmatic,
Hmm.
which led him to use more prosthetic effects in this film than, apparently, any movie ever made in the history of film when it served the story, creating those incredibly detailed, unsettling alien
Yeah, the
designs.
orgoscope stuff was wild.
Totally. But at the same time, he still leveraged cutting-edge CGI for characters like Rocket, where it was necessary to get those realistic animal expressions and movements. This method actively avoids what he calls lazy CGI and ensures visual elements are always best served for the narrative. Makes the world feel more tangible, more real, even when it's fantastical.
And people noticed that, right? The visual impact.
Widely praised, yeah. Critics and audiences noted the unsettling creature designs, especially those horrifying, almost Frankenstein-esque animal experiments, and the extensive use of physical spaces instead of bland CGI, made it feel more tactile, less like a video game.
And that hallway fight scene.
Oh yeah, the one-take hallway fight scene, highlighted as rad as hell, and arguably the best Marvel action scene in ages.
I praise again.
And it wasn't just flash. It showcased meticulous choreography and seamless visual effects that enhanced the storytelling and character interactions, didn't detract, just immersed you in the action, felt grounded and visceral.
And the film wasn't afraid to get dark visually either.
No, it notably pushed boundaries within the usually pretty family-friendly MCU, incorporated surprisingly dark body horror elements.
Like the fleshy prison break?
Ugh. Yeah, truly grotesque and memorable. And the horrifying experimental animals, or Rocket, just brutally shredding the High Evolutionary's face.
That was intense.
Genuinely disturbing and effective. Earned the film its PG-13 rating with a real edge. It even included the first F-bomb in an MCU movie.
Which people found kind of funny, right?
Yeah, audiences found it perfectly silly and unexpected, signaled that Gunn's distinctive, irreverent style was still intact, even within this massive corporate franchise.
So it raises that question again.
Exactly. In a franchise often criticized for maybe formulaic visuals or a sanitized tone, how much does a director's willingness to push through and retain a unique, even boundary-pushing voice contribute to the overall impact and memorability?
Guardians 3 strongly suggests it's absolutely essential.
Yeah. Essential for breaking through the noise and making a lasting impression.
It really sounds like Gunn truly made this film his own, culminating his vision for these characters in a way that left a significant and very personal mark, which I guess leads us to consider its place in the larger tapestry of the MCU,
Yeah.
the broader MCU context and legacy.
Yeah, looking at Guardians 3 within the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe, it definitely arrived at a significant, and you could say challenging, time for the franchise.
Things felt a bit shaky, maybe.
A bit. Our sources consistently note that Marvel had struggled to put up the same consistent, impressive box office numbers it earned during the record-shattering Infinity Saga.
That peak was hard to maintain.
Incredibly hard. The periods of Phase 4 and the kickoff of Phase 5 in particular had lagged, and importantly, failed to enjoy the same level of audience or critical enthusiasm that had previously been such a hallmark of the MCU.
That sense of fatigue we talked about earlier.
Exactly, leading to that palpable sense of fatigue for some viewers.
Hmm.
So in this context, it was clear that Disney Marvel needed Guardians to be a hit.
A lot riding on it.
A lot. This film was positioned as Marvel's big blockbuster, offering to launch the 2023 summer season, a critical period for studio revenue, for setting the tone for the year.
And the pandemic aftermath didn't help.
No. That need was exacerbated by the lingering challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic, which, as the sources explicitly state, hit all studios hard. Impacted everything from production schedules to audience comfort levels going back to theaters.
So Volume 3 wasn't just another entry.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was a crucial test of audience engagement, and the franchise's continued drawing power in that post-pandemic, post-Infinity Saga landscape. And as we saw with the numbers and reception, it largely rose to the occasion.
Which suggests it really did resonate as maybe a standalone success, offering a different path forward.
I think that's exactly right. This film's reception, both critically and especially with audiences, suggests it truly resonated as a standalone success and offered a distinct, perhaps vital path forward for superhero storytelling that maybe the genre desperately needs.
What did the fans online say about its place in the MCU?
Well, Reddit users overwhelmingly hailed Volume 3 as the MCU's strongest showing in a while and the best MCU movie in years.
Wow. Better than recent stuff, clearly.
Yeah, some even compared it favorably to Endgame in terms of emotional payoff, which is huge.
That is huge.
Many commented that it had the magic and heart that most of these projects have been missing, which is such a powerful statement about what audiences are truly looking for right now. Not just spectacle, but genuine connection.
So what was the key to that success, do you think, according to the sources?
It seems the film's ability to tell a contained, character-driven story with genuinely high emotional stakes was key.
Keeping it personal.
Exactly. Its core mission was clearly defined as, we gotta save our friend, specifically Rocket, rather than just the generic saving the world or universe, which can often feel abstract and less personal.
Makes the stakes feel more real.
Totally. This intimate focus allowed for deeper character development, a more tangible sense of urgency, and a much more personal connection for viewers. Made the stakes feel truly immediate. Furthermore, its successful conclusion to a trilogy.
Giving actual closure.
Yes, giving satisfying, well-earned closure to each of our main characters, rather than simply serving as another entry in a long-running, ever-expanding story. That provided a sense of completeness and catharsis that audiences profoundly appreciated.
It felt like an ending, an earned ending.
A true final chapter for this specific team. And James Gunn's departure to co-lead DC Studios is a significant detail noted everywhere. Volume 3's success really gives confidence in James Gunn heading over to run DC.
People are definitely watching his next moves.
Oh yeah, many looking to his upcoming Superman legacy with renewed hope. His unique approach, that ability to inject heart into his work, alongside his signature gore and snide remarks.
That specific blend.
Yeah, combined with a sharp focus on individual character arcs and authentic emotional moments, it positions Volume 3 as a potential template for future superhero films aiming for depth and audience connection.
So it raises that big question for the genre.
It really does. As the superhero genre continues to evolve, maybe grapple with a degree of fatigue, will the industry take cues from Volume 3's successful focus on intimate, character-driven narratives and the undeniable importance of a strong, singular, directorial voice?
Or will the pressure to just keep expanding interconnected universes overshadow those lessons?
That's the compelling challenge for the future, isn't it?
It certainly feels like a powerful closing statement for this particular team anyway. And for a director who truly understands how to make us care about a talking raccoon as much as we do, maybe even more than many human characters on screen. Conclusion.
Definitely. So just to wrap up, we've unpacked the robust box office success and that uniquely powerful, critical, and audience reception of Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3.
We delve deep into Rocket's profoundly emotional and transformative journey, from that self-hating creature to the confident captain of the Guardians.
Explored those pervasive and powerful themes of familial abuse and the incredible healing power of chosen family that really bind this team together.
And highlighted James Gunn's masterful and distinctive use of music, practical visuals, and that boundary-pushing style to craft a truly unique and resonant story.
Yeah, this deep dive really reveals how the film managed to be both a commercial hit and a critical darling, offering not just thrilling action and signature humor, but also a heartfelt, almost raw exploration of trauma, identity, and the enduring strength found in belonging.
It served as such a powerful reminder, didn't it? That even in a sprawling cinematic universe, a strong personal narrative driven by authentic character arcs can create an unforgettable experience.
Something that transcends typical superhero fare and speaks directly to the human condition.
So if you've ever felt like an outcast, maybe a creep, or just a little bit different, perhaps Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3 offers a powerful thought. Sometimes, being the weirdo, the one who doesn't quite fit,
Yeah.
is exactly what makes you so fucking special.
Outro.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3. We truly hope you gained some surprising insights and maybe a new appreciation for the artistry and emotional depth behind this beloved film.
Yeah, we love hearing what stands out to you from these deep dives, so feel free to continue exploring these themes on your own, reflecting on how these stories might resonate with your own experiences.
See you again in the next episode of this podcast.